Welcome to the Husker Army Podcast with your host, Husker fanatic Ryan Knutson, former Husker wide receiver Kenny Cheatham, and Husker recruiting guru Matt Sass.
What's going on, everybody? Fall in at attention. You're locked into another episode of the Husker Army Podcast, brought to you by the Husker Army fan page on Facebook. Check them out. All right, I'm one of your hosts, Brian Knutson, and with me, as always, our other host, Mr. Kenny Cheatham, former Husker wide receiver. And Kenny, yeah, it was a shit show, man. No other way to put it. That's exactly what we saw. 34-3 against Michigan in the Big House. Yeah, they pretty much did to us what we did to everybody in the past and just ran that ball down our throats.
I was out and about. I was out and about yesterday, so I
Dude,
didn't watch the game until a few minutes ago. Probably finished at around 2 Arizona time, 3 that time, maybe a little bit before. And so, like I was saying, I was coming back on and off the highway, stuck in traffic, but I had my phone. I was looking at the game, the cast. You know how it does on ESPN. It shows the things, and I saw it was close for a while, and then at the end, I saw the score go up a little bit. So I was thinking it was just a bad route type of game once the score started going up from not having a visual view of the game. But watching it this morning, man, honestly, I can say here's one thing that I'm just going to say. You cannot win a game playing from inside of your 30 the entire time, 30 and 40-yard line the entire time. And that's due and based off our offense being ineffective and not getting down the field. I think as a team, as a fan base, as a staff, they see the importance of Casey Thompson and what he was able to bring to the dynamic of the offense as far as getting the ball down the field, the timing of the throws, getting the ball to the receivers. And you can pretty much see that it's affected everyone on that offense. And when you're not a threat from the quarterback position on offense, whether it be the backup or the one after the backup, defenses can play you a certain way because they know that, which goes back to affecting the running game, which goes back to us always punting, which results in them having short field position, which puts them in position to score more points. Every time I looked up, just by watching the game, we were on our side of the field. I think the one time we scored was the field goal, of course, that one time. I think that might have been like one of the only times we were on their side of the field. You can't win from your side of the field. That's basic. Unless you got to do kicking 90-yard field goals or something. Other than that, we were on our field the entire time, our side of the ball. It was always going to Nebraska 10, Nebraska 15, Nebraska 20, Nebraska 30, Nebraska 37, punt. When they're fielding the ball at the 50 and at their 45 and 40, they don't have that far to go. And Michigan pounds the ball down your throat, and that's what they did. But it wasn't like it were just a ton of big runs that you've seen Corum make. It was like old school Nebraska, we will say that, pound and ground. But I want to stop. I want to get myself in position to stop saying old school Nebraska because we haven't been at old school Nebraska in a long time. It was what you would see with a team that has an effective line and an effective running game. Once they get a lead or a team they're better than, they're able to do that to control the game. And that's what they did.
Yeah, Corum had a hell of a day. He really did. I mean, you know, like you said, when you're getting 3, 4, 5 yards a pop, and yeah, they weren't very big runs. I can't remember what their longest run was, but I don't think it was much. And
15, 16 yards.
Okay.
16 yards.
But still, I mean, the 3, 4, 5 at a time, at least, that defense was just getting so worn down. I mean, Garrett Nelson even got injured. I'm not sure the extent of the injury, but it was almost like I was watching this game in a daze. You know,
Yeah.
I was hoping and hoping, and it looked promising a little bit there at first, even with Purdy in there. He was doing it right with his legs. His arm strength is still exactly what I think it is, no matter if anybody agrees with me or not. It's not there. And it just, I don't know. It was one of those games where it was so hard to try and get excited for.
Mhm.
So you just sat and watched. And in the back of your head, you hope things go right. You hope they compete. Maybe they pull off the major upset. But in the front of your mind, you're like, this may not go the way we'd like it to go. And so I'm going to sit here and I'm going to see if it plays out the way that my mind expects it to play out.
Yeah, it was a non-entertaining, slow-paced football game. Let's just keep it honest, you know.
The first quarter was over before you even knew it.
Yeah, the Michigan's time of possession. I mean, so that's where you saw like the first two quarters. Okay, maybe they can do something and have it a little closer if they score. Then Michigan got, I think, the field goal before halftime or something like that, or whatever it was.
Yep.
But with it being played like that, you were like, okay, if we can just do something, this can be 7-4, 7-7,
Yeah.
7-14, but we weren't able to. And it was like we were trying to run with 3 feet legs and 6 foot sand, 6 foot deep sand. You know what I mean? We just couldn't get our legs out of the sand high enough to do anything. We're moving, but we're not going anywhere. We're running plays, but we're not going anywhere. And we can't exclude the drops.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Palmer has it struck him the last couple weeks.
makes a difference as far as what the things we're able to do. So it was a hard to watch game because it was so slow. I know I'm
Yes.
talking a little slow because I'm trying to think and get it out. It was a hard to watch game because it was so slow. There was nothing done exciting on either side of the ball. It was just we couldn't be effective. We had terrible offensive possessions. We weren't making Michigan play defense enough to be a threat to them. And then we're punting and we're giving them the short field to do what they do, which is control the ball and put themselves in position to score points.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, we're still seeing the same troubles with the offensive line. I mean, we all know, look, Michigan's got a hell of a defensive line. They really do.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a hell of a defense, period.
Mm-hmm.
Now, our offensive line at times showed promise during that game, but it was more of the same. I mean, no matter who's back there at quarterback, they're running for their life at some point, or they end up getting pounded. Now, granted, Purdy didn't get hurt on any malicious hit or anything like that. He just rolled his ankle, getting caught between figuring out to slide or dive. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, it looks like his foot got caught or something like that. Right.
Yeah, looked like he rolled that, I think, his right ankle, and he just kind of. I've done that before in baseball back in the day. Your mind gets caught
Mm-hmm.
between sliding head first or feet first, and you just kind of crumble. Your legs just kind of give out. You look stupid when you do it. I mean, it's a given, but yeah, that does happen. You kind of get stuck in your own head, and it can't make the decision physically for you. So I hope the young man's all right. But at the same time, look, it still goes back to I'm standing by what I said when he started last week. It is that it's not the guy. I mean, you look at Twitter after the game. I looked at it because, like I said, I don't touch my phone during the game. No social media during game. Not even halftime.
Right.
Hop on afterwards, and man, the amount of tweets I saw that just basically said "Get Purdy out" was almost staggering. And I know the young man sees these. I know he
Yeah.
does. So I do kind of feel for him, but I am also in that circle. I may not have tweeted it, but I'm not hiding from it either. It's right here on the podcast how I feel about it. And the young man just is not the stuff of Husker quarterbacks. It's not. Smothers is closer than him. And even while playing six, Smothers still at least looked somewhat better, in my opinion. I mean, he still had the same problems, skipping passes. Smothers did not use his legs really yesterday. So I don't know. Maybe he was sick. Maybe he wasn't ready. I don't know. But then we could talk about Whipple too. Whipple getting injured.
Saw that.
Uh, I mean, I feel bad for saying this almost, but it almost like the football gods heard me and asked, "Who do you want to call plays for the second half?" I said Mickey Joseph. Just give him a chance. Anybody but Whipple. It. I couldn't believe it. I was like, when he tried standing up, I was like, "Oh, that's a tough old man." That right knee though, or it might have been his left knee. That thing wasn't. No, it took a heck of a cut.
Yeah,
So,
cut him
but
low.
we didn't see any dynamic play calling in the second half. But at the same time, I mean, Mickey's really working with what he's got. So, I mean, look, hopefully Coach Whipple's all right. Maybe when he comes back, had a little more sense knocked into him, and that I'd count that. But I mean, Kenny, it's hard to talk about this game because, like you said, it was just so blah. There's no other way to say it but just blah.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan won. They weren't overly impressive, but they were solid. They were
Very.
solid. Um, we didn't do anything to make them have to do anything, if that makes sense.
McCarthy did struggle with his accuracy early on.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't anything that you would write home
No,
and talk about.
no.
They don't think they got one touchdown on the fumble in the end zone.
Dude, and I still say that touched the line in the back. I say it did.
Yeah, yeah,
It was
but we
so
should have made the
close.
initial tackle.
Yeah.
Put us in that position. It's just one of those games. Sometimes you can watch a football game on any level, professional and college. High school is high school, but you still watch it, but the ones that you really see everything and you're like, wow, that was a non-impressive waste of time by both teams. And you saw Michigan just running the ball, going back, even though I like trying to get away from the old us. We were scoring when we were running that ball like that.
Mhm.
It resulted in a lot of touchdowns, and people couldn't stop us from running the ball like that. But the biggest takeaway is the consumption of the time clock that Michigan used with being effective in running the ball and getting those fourth down conversions and those short yard conversions. Maybe that's what kept the score low because they weren't being explosive in
No, they
regard
tried.
in regards to their scoring.
Yeah, McCarthy tried pushing it downfield quite a few times,
Yeah.
just that the inaccuracy.
Yeah. So I don't know, my man, in Husker Nation. It's just we want to see them do well, but my biggest takeaway, like last year, I mean, years prior, when we put in the backup, it's just what the hell's going on? I
Lack of
think
a
we
better
said
word,
it last week.
garbage.
It's like they're not prepared in the last couple of years to go in the game and play.
Hmm.
It was like when Adrian was here, when Adrian went down, the backups went in. It was, oh God, what do we have as the backup? You should
Nothing.
know what you have and who you have as a backup and what you're able to do. Your playbook shouldn't change that much once you put in the backup. Your
No.
selection of plays. Now, there's certain things you're not going to be able to do if you have a running quarterback and you got a passing quarterback. There's that little dynamic in there. That read option RPO isn't going to be as fast, and that person probably not a fleet of foot. So you have to minimize that. But when we put in the running quarterback, one who runs better, shall I say, and he's not running when he's able to, makes a difference. I mean, it's hard. It's getting harder to talk about the same things every week. And like Groundhog's Day, I feel like Rain Man on the movie, you know, Charlie Babbitt, Charlie Babbitt, Charlie Babbitt, Charlie Babbitt. You have to say the same thing a million times. We're saying the same things weekly. And the struggle is real. Hopefully they get it turned around. Hopefully at the end of the year they figure out what's going on. And everything comes in place and we get us back. We get ourselves back to our rightful place of being respectable in the college football ranks and what we're able to do. We have to stop the notion that it can't be turned around. Illinois is not getting the players that Nebraska is getting.
No.
And look where they're at. When you see these other schools who you know are not getting the kids a place like Nebraska is getting, and they're turning around within a year or two, what's going on? Or what has been going on? I think Coach Joseph, Mickey J, was put in a situation to where there's so much turmoil around it, and people expected him to turn crap into, not talking about the kids in general, talking about the situation when I say crap. So I don't want people to get, calling the kids crap. Turn crap, aka the situation, into gold. And it's just not going to happen, people. It's just not going to happen. I said day one of the first podcast we did this year, the Northwestern game will determine how our season goes. I don't know if people heard me. I don't know if people understood it or took it in, or took it like a grain of salt. I said the Northwestern game, this will determine how our season goes. And lo and behold, how is our season going? Because that's the tone setter. And anybody who didn't believe that are probably the same ones who said in Coach Frost's first year, Scotty's first year, oh, we needed that game that was done, that was rained out by the storm. That would have made our season totally different. You can't have it this way when that happens and then not say anything when we'll say something about that. Remember how everybody was saying that? Oh, we had that game, that would have made a difference. Okay, well, that would have determined how the season was went. So if you're using that as an excuse to determine how the season went, use this one. But knowing football, you have to go into a season with momentum. And that first game is a tone setter. And we didn't set the tone. And our defense was horrible until the switch. Now our defense is on the field too long because our offense has been ineffective since Casey Thompson went down. Our offense has been ineffective.
We've scored one touchdown in 2 games since he's been out.
Against Purdue, we were scoring too fast. Because we had
it's damned if we do and damned if we don't.
We had to battle with them, which was putting our defense back out there really quick. After that, we're not scoring.
No.
And our defense is out there a long time getting worn down. You cannot continue to have them, even if Purdue was worn down because they were out there so much with the time of possession because we were scoring so quick. So it has to be a balance on both sides of the ball. If you know you're up on the team and your offense is effective and your defense is doing what they need to do, you might want to run a little clock on it. That's the difference between college and the NFL. NFL will do that. And that's why they're so low scoring and boring at times. Because we're up 10. Oh, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's punt. College, because you have to play for the number game, especially with the bowl alignment type of thing they do now, in regards to the points to get the people in the playoff system, they will keep going. So, I don't know, man.
I'm going to what you said about first game being the setter for the season. I think somebody forgot to let Northwestern know that because we're still the only game they've won. And does the Husker Hex continue with next week with Michigan playing Illinois? Illinois coming off a 2-game skid since they beat us.
Possibly. We got that mojo.
I
We'll
don't know. We rub it off
your
on them.
season since ours is ruined.
As soon as they touch our players, that stuff just comes off and
Yeah.
sticks with them, man. Oh, almost feel for them. I hope, in my opinion, I hope it doesn't happen to Michigan. I want them to be undefeated going to the horseshoe. I want both those teams being undefeated Thanksgiving weekend. That's going to be a hell of a game.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
they're also saying whichever team loses ain't making the playoffs, which I disagree with.
I totally disagree because they're going to find a way to keep an SEC team in there.
They're looking at 3 of them right now.
Alabama's 9-2, and whatever in 2, and they're number 9. So
Bama's out. Bama's out.
Oregon lost, but I'm just saying the other teams lose and they drop them drastically in anything. They want to say, "Oh, SEC lost to SEC team." You see how LSU's creeping back up, and all these teams are creeping back up for them to have them in position to do it. So if Michigan loses to Ohio State, that'll be like a 1 versus 3 matchup.
Yep.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
You put in an SEC team that didn't play in the conference championship game before, aka I think it was Alabama
and Georgia.
So if that's the case, if one of those beat the other, they shouldn't drop that low. Let's say Ohio State, what are they currently? Number 2?
Yes.
Michigan's currently number 4. Let's say Michigan
3.
bumped up to 3. So that's 2 versus 3. If anything, they should swap places with TCU. TCU should go to 3, and they should go to 4.
Yep.
It should be, if that's 2 Big Ten teams, whoever, wins the Big Ten, but that team should still get in there.
That's exactly what you're talking about, too. They did that for Alabama that year.
Yeah.
Or actually, it might have been Georgia. It's happened a couple times.
Yeah, for the SEC, they're going to find a way. Oh, they should be.
And then they end up playing in the national title.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And always the argument, this team lost to that team, do they really not deserve a chance at a possible rematch?
Right.
But you're going to make the argument that either team out of the Big Ten, undefeated, loses that game, and especially say it's a 3-point less game to just decide it. You're going to tell me that the team that loses doesn't deserve in the playoff?
Right.
You're out of your mind. The SEC bias is definitely in full force and in effect at that point.
Mm-hmm.
If that happens, ESPN needs to be boycotted.
Yeah, totally agree.
Horrible.
Totally agree.
And yeah, even, talking about what we've lived through the last 6 years and everything, watching the LSU game. It was a little chilly in Arkansas yesterday. And they show these 3 mix or drink holders, and it's got hot chocolate, beef broth, and coffee for the LSU players to stay warm. And I had to tweet it out. I said, LSU looks soft. I mean, they can't seriously handle a little bit of it. Can't be that damn cold in Arkansas. What was it? High 30s. And so somebody tweets back, they come from a higher temperature climate. Well, no kidding. I mean, duh. Yeah, I didn't need that pointed out. But they say, well, what has Nebraska done in the last 6 seasons? They're soft. I'm like, we know what we've done the last 6 seasons. We're down.
They love to focus on the last 6 years, man. You hear nothing about the Pelini years. You hear nothing, absolutely nothing.
And you think we don't know we're down?
And that's why when they try to combat with me, I get into it. I'll go back and forth with some of the Michigan fans. I got a lot of Michigan people I'm friends with on there. They'll be like, oh, because they believe deep in their heart they deserve the 1997 championship. And I'm sure you've seen me debate with them a couple of times on there.
A lot.
Someone said, I guess they showed the commercial, the Nebraska commercial. Someone was, they tried to trigger us with that commercial. What are you talking about? It's mathematics. We played 13 games. You passed us after the Missouri game as far as the number 1 spot.
Yep.
We'd
have wiped the floor with them.
Yeah, we won 13 games. You won 12. We played 1 game. You brother beat Washington State. We beat the number 3 team in Tennessee. I mean,
the SEC champions.
Yeah, let's do the mathematics. We beat a higher ranked team. Same with Penn State. You beat Oregon.
Yeah.
We beat Miami.
A relatively unknown Oregon at the time too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't know who the hell. I didn't even know Oregon had a football team when that game was played.
I'm going to tell you how Oregon got to the Rose Bowl. One of my childhood friends. Look it up on YouTube, people. Kenny Wheaton got the pick against Washington. The man has a statue at the University of Oregon now. It's like in their lore of their school. Like I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being funny. K Dub ended up being an All-American. He was drafted by the Cowboys in the 3rd round. Stayed around the corner for me, one of my childhood friends. If you go back, it's the pick. They call it the pick. They have a statue of him making the pick. Kenny Wheaton's going to score, and he runs it back for a touchdown against Washington.
Wasn't it like 80, 90 some yards?
Yeah, that put them in the Rose Bowl.
I remember that play.
My friend.
Oh my god, dude, we got to get him on here.
Yeah,
We got to get him on.
I mess with him all the time. If you see me pay attention to something I'll write on Facebook sometime, I'll say, man, I need them drinks from you. This man gets a lifetime of Jordans. Oregon, they send him all kind of stuff. This man is in their Hall of Fame, 2-time All-American. They have a statue of this dude. This dude is like a legend. Like for real.
I remember seeing the logo. The logo and everything. Yeah. I didn't even know Oregon had a team. When they said the Oregon Ducks, I was like, hell names their team the Ducks?
They used to have him call me to get me to come up there with him in Oregon.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We gotta get him on here, dude. If he'd be willing to and just talk football. Doesn't have to be Husker football. Just talk football.
Yeah.
All right. Well, to hell with it. I mean, it is what it is. Like you said, Kenny, it's tough to talk about the same crap every week. I mean, we do end up trying to find something new to talk about, but we gotta always go over the same thing first. And I mean, look how this episode ended up. We ended up talking about LSU, talking about being on Twitter. You just talked about your buddy from Oregon. We stopped talking Husker football probably 10 minutes ago. So there wasn't much to talk about. There really was, like you said, it was just one of those that ho-hum through the whole thing.
Right.
So I don't know. Is what it is.
Hell, just think, I watched it on fast mode because it's recorded.
Yeah.
And it was a struggle.
Dude.
So I can imagine sitting through it live.
It sucked.
At the speed.
Oh,
I wasn't going to devote that 3 hours of my life to that smut. That wasn't going to happen.
I ain't gonna lie, it sucked. About 4 minutes left. I seriously was thinking about, just either taking a nap or switching it to another game. So I was like, this isn't gonna change.
I wouldn't have blamed you.
I couldn't bring myself to do it. I don't think I've ever changed the channel during a Husker game in my life. And it's a streak I'm gonna try and keep alive for as long as I'm alive. I don't know when my day comes. Hopefully we got some years, another 40 years, the Husker Army podcast. Me and Kenny gonna be old and gray.
Yeah, don't do that to yourself, man. Don't hurt yourself. Don't put some unwanted strain on your heart, man. Trying to watch all of that, bro.
That's the thing. It hasn't here lately, and that's becoming concerning. I mean, even my daughter, I was joking with her during the game, late in the game. She's like, "Are we winning?" And she's like looking at the TV. I'm like, no, we're not gonna either. She's like, "Well, you're joking around and laughing, and we're losing. What is going on here?" I'm used to it.
Yeah, what else you gonna do?
Yeah. I didn't expect us to go in and win this game anyway.
But you wanted it competitive.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's hard to think of that none of these seniors have been to a bowl game. And they're not gonna. They're not gonna. That's just a stat I can't even. I wouldn't have been able to even fathom that at a younger age. Just couldn't.
But Adrian Martinez said he wanted to go to K-State and play because he wanted a chance to play in the bowl game.
And they're gonna. I don't know if he'll be healthy or not, but they're going to a bowl game.
UConn's going to a bowl game.
So is Kansas. Unreal.
Ain't that something?
Tulane's going to a bowl game.
Yeah, I think they got like one loss.
Yeah, well, 2 now. Central Florida got them.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Central Florida finally got them.
It's something.
I know. It's a crazy college football world now. It really is.
Who we
And
got next? Wisconsin?
we got Wisconsin next. 11 a.m. game on ESPN
This Saturday?
this Saturday.
Lord have mercy.
Where is it too? I haven't even been looking lately. I don't
Lincoln,
know.
I think it's in Lincoln.
Did we play in Camp Randall last year?
I think so.
Okay, cool. Well, we're back in Lincoln then. All right, that's something to hang your hat on. And look, Wisconsin just got their asses handed to them too. So
Did they lose?
yeah, they lost.
To
I think
who?
they only scored like 10 points.
Oh, Iowa. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was like 24-10 or something like
Yeah,
that.
it was. It was.
Now, Iowa's offense only had like 100. They had the exact same amount of yards on offense the entire game as we had, and they won 24-10. We lost 34-3. I'm not worried about Iowa's offense. We're going to get into that after next week. But I'm not
Yeah.
worried about their offense, but their defense is, I want to say it, but I won't. Scary. I wanted to say another word before that because, yeah, it emphasizes how scary their defense is this year.
Yeah. We'll see.
But, all right. Well, Kenny, let's go ahead and shut her down, man. This was, you know what? Basically, this was just a chat session. I don't know if this was even really an episode about the game, my man.
Mental therapy.
It is. We do need some therapy. Everybody, I urge you to seek your therapy as well, whether it be the gym,
Yeah.
smoking certain things. It don't matter. Get your therapy in, whatever it may be. So, all right, we'll go ahead and shut her down, Kenny. Ah, man. Everybody, you know the deal by now. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at Husker Army Pod. Definitely check out our YouTube page, Husker Army Podcast. You just Google Husker Army Podcast and you'll find us. Of course, you find us anywhere you find all your audio stuff, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, more. So, everybody, be another game next week. So,
Yeah.
do what you do. Put on your red and white, maybe your black shirt stuff, whatever you got, just wear it. Support our guys, man. We need it. That's what we do. So, all right. I think we covered it, Kenny. What do you think?
Yep.
All right. Yep. Simple. Yes. I like it. All right. Husker Army, you know the deal. At ease, and you are all dismissed.